Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this Embodied Astrology Guide for Creatives. My name is Amanda, and I am the founder of Awakened Creators, and this video is all about how to make art like a Scorpio. So we're going to talk all about Scorpio energies and how to incorporate that into your creative practice, not only for the Scorpio season that we are approaching right now, but just in general, applying the astrological archetypes to our creative process can really open us up to the full spectrum of our authentic creative truth. If you're not already following me over on Instagram, you should. At awaken.creators, you will find a ton of resources and a lively community of other enlightened creatives like yourself who are interested in applying spiritual practices to their creative journeys. So join us over there on Instagram at awaken.creators. And if you get something helpful out of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, or share it with an astrologically minded creative friend, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know the next time that I post, and you can learn how to embody the next astrological archetype into your creative process. So without further ado, let's get into this video and see how you can make art like a Scorpio. So one of the first things that I think of when I think of Scorpio energy is depth. Scorpio energy is very deep. It is a water sign, and it's a deep water sign. So I would say that whereas maybe a Cancer water sign energy is more like bubbling over the rocks at the shore, Scorpio energy is kind of at the bottom of the ocean, sort of seeing what's living there at the very bottom. So the reason I feel like Scorpio energy is so deep is because it's really like all-encompassing. So the opposite energy to Scorpio is Taurus, and Taurus energy is very much so tactile and wanting to embrace the fullness of life through the senses. And I feel like, excuse me, Scorpio energy also reflects that same kind of lust for life, but it does so in a really kind of deep internal way. So when we're talking about Scorpio energies, we're talking about it from its highest and greatest vibration. So you know, you'll hear me in these videos not tend to go too much into like goods and bads and all that kind of stuff, because really what we want to do is we want to try to embody just the highest vibration of each astrological archetype. So Scorpio energy is deep. Scorpio energy also has a lot to do with boundaries and personal power, and I would say our ability to deal with the not so pleasant parts of life. For example, death, sex, although I wouldn't say that's not necessarily pleasant, but it's the kind of the underbelly of life on earth. So some of those tougher topics that maybe we don't interact with on a regular basis, or we don't actively discuss in our day-to-day life, Scorpio energy is interested in and unafraid of those things. And so as we get into how to embody Scorpio energy into your creative process and your creative journey, you really want to have a feel for just the overall archetype of this energy. And why are we looking at astrology when it comes to creativity? Well, what we do with Awakened Creators is we believe in sacred harmony. And sacred harmony is a way for us to become in tune with the natural creative flow of the universe and of the creative flow of our lives here on earth, and incorporate all of those things into our creative flow on an individual basis. And so understanding and moving in tune with the, movements of the astrological archetypes and lunar cycles and things like that allow us to very naturally start to create a natural flow and harmony in our creative process. And it also teaches you a lot about yourself. It teaches you a lot about the cyclical nature of life and creativity in and of itself, which if you want to learn more about, I have a whole course on creative flow where I show you all the elements that go into the cycle of creative flow so that you can, stop perceiving yourself as having gotten stuck and move forward in an ease and grace with the creative process instead of fighting against it. So check that out in the description box below. Now let's get into how you can embody Scorpio energy in your creative practice. All right, so number one, the first thing we want to do with our Scorpionic energy as an artist and as a creative, and this doesn't have to just apply to visual arts either. This is any creative practice. You could be a dancer, you could be a fashion designer, you could be a filmmaker, you could be a singer, and you could be a visual artist. It doesn't matter, Awakened Creators, we're not exclusive to visual arts. That just tends to be, who's on Instagram showing stuff, but definitely if you are artistically inclined in a different medium beyond visual arts, you can still apply this information to your creative journey, so listen up. So the first aspect of Scorpionic energy that we want to apply are those boundaries. And boundaries are interesting concepts because a lot of times how we think of boundaries is we think of like walls separating people, your personal bubble, right? That we talk about sometimes, you're in my bubble. And those are definitely displays of personal boundaries, and you should certainly examine those during Scorpio season, but also just in general as a creative. Take a look at your boundaries. Where are they unclear? Are there individuals in your life or relationships with certain projects or certain institutions or certain aspects of your life that are not, don't feel good? So are there boundaries where people are stepping over your boundaries, or people are pushing against your boundaries, or you are not standing up for your boundaries? Take a real close examination of that, especially as it applies to your creativity. And I'll give you an example. So if you want to create at home, but you have, say, a household full of roommates or full of family, and it makes it difficult for you to find time and space in order to create, and your natural response is maybe to let it go, let it slide, not create that day because so-and-so is taking up all the space in the room and you can't. That could be an example of poor boundary making. So if you feel conflicted inside about it, I'm not saying never to compromise, but if you feel conflicted inside about it and you want to create, but you don't feel like you can, you've given all your power away to this other person or situation and saying, because of them, therefore I can't create. You really have an issue here with boundaries. So what you can do is declare and define those boundaries. So whether that's, well, maybe I can't create in the house, but I could go outside in the backyard, or I can take myself to the park, or I can open up and ask for the time and space that I need to create. For the next hour, please leave me alone in this room. I need to do X, Y, Z. If you are able, you can lock doors. There are different ways that you can create separation between your energy and the energy of other things. And that's what we're really trying to do with Scorpionic energy in embodying it, is being really clear about our personal boundaries, not being afraid to draw them, not being afraid to speak our truth before people and say, this is what I need, please respect that. It's not a personal attack. It's not coming from ego. It's coming from a place of self-respect and self-value. And that's that little nod to Scorpio's opposite sign of Taurus. So see how you can set better boundaries as a creative in your practice. The second thing that Scorpio energy is asking for you to do as a creative is to embrace the dark. And we talked about this a little bit in the intro in terms of Scorpio not being afraid to discuss the underbelly of life and the things that people maybe don't want to take notice of or pay attention to, but that are inevitabilities. They are a part of our human experience. And so to embody that aspect of Scorpio energy in your creative practice, you might want to think about or consider where you can bring out aspects of your creativity that maybe you're afraid to. For example, if you have a story you're writing or a song you're writing about something very personal, very maybe even deep and dark, maybe it's about a childhood trauma or an uncomfortable experience that you had, Scorpio energy is really going to encourage you as a creative to not be afraid to talk about those things, not be afraid to pull them out from the dark and bring them into the light. This is one of the, and I'm getting chills right now because this is one of the great powers of our creative practice and our creativity itself, is that it has the power to heal and transform us. And so what I mean by that is when we practice real, deliberate, radical authenticity with our creative journey, we can heal ourselves. We can heal ourselves of those traumas through the deliberate fear-facing of talking about it in our art. Whether you make a film about it or you like I said, write a song and sing about it, bringing your pain through the creative process is a transmutive type of process, because creativity itself springs from the heart and the heart chakra. And so when you allow those things that are in the lower chakras, those pains, those traumas, those unhealed emotions, when you allow them to come up and out without judgment and let them kind of purge from you, they'll pass through the heart and out through your creative expression and transmute into something absolutely beautiful that not only has the power to heal you, but also has the potential to heal those who view your art or listen to your music or watch your movie or see you dance. So don't be shy. Allow the Scorpio energy to help you have that courage to really look at those things, look under the rocks of your life, and bring out those topics into and through your creativity. Excellent. So let's move on to the third topic and the third way that you can embody Scorpio energy. And this is to be comfortable with the idea of shape-shifting. Scorpio energy for me, especially as it's represented in the tarot as an eagle or a kind of bird of prey, always reminds me of the kind of shape-shifty energy of birds. And so in my own personal practice, I have a deep connection to crows and ravens, and they are definitely known for being shapeshifters as well. And so this shape-shifting energy with Scorpio is this willingness to transform. Scorpio energy is very transformative. I would liken it to a phoenix type of bird energy, if we were talking about birds here, in that it transforms. It has the power to come from nothing into something and then die. It's that cycle of death and rebirth. And so to embody that cyclical kind of transformative energy into your creative journey, it's being willing to change, right? It's being willing to try something new, being willing to have a new persona. So as it applies to your creative practice, are you stuck in a rut somewhere? Are you putting on a display for people that isn't really your authentic self? Are you, performing music because you think that that's the kind of music people want to hear from you, but it's not the kind that really feeds your heart? Is it, we really want to step away from this kind of people pleasing or putting on masks. Scorpio is not about that. Scorpio energy is no mask. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. All of me is acceptable, beautiful, pure, and gorgeous. This is who I am. So if you have a space in your creative process where you feel like you are kind of faking it, I would definitely encourage you to embody Scorpio energy and be willing to transform. Be willing to, it could be something as simple as starting to wear clothes that better reflect who you truly are inside. It seems so simple and almost like ridiculous and superficial, but it's not, because that is how we represent ourselves on the outside as human beings. And so for you to maybe wear something that better reflects your inner truth, you're already going to start to send different signals to people when they interact with you. And this could be maybe the start of a new relationship, because you're now displaying your more authentic self, that someone says, oh, I think maybe that person might be into the thing I'm into, and approach you, and you strike up a conversation and make a whole new creative networking kind of friendship here. So being your authentic self is the way to go, right? It allows you to have and cultivate authentic relationships then. So there's some shape-shifting there that you can do by shedding what isn't authentic and, devoting yourself to being willing to transform almost, publicly and shapeshift. But this can also apply to your actual creativity. So for example, I kind of mentioned earlier, if you're singing music because you're told that kind of music is what people want to hear, but it isn't the kind that you want to make. You actually want to make this other kind of music. Scorpio energy is going to encourage you to go ahead and shapeshift, go ahead and transform into this thing that's more authentic and true to you. So don't be afraid to let it out, even if you think, and this is especially true because we're talking about Scorpio, even if you think what you want to display and what you really want to pursue will scare people. It's especially true if you think it will scare people, if you think it will make them uncomfortable, if you think, God, they don't want to hear me talk about, XYZ, that's, they're going to be offended, or, it could be something that you feel like is so, mundane, like say, for example, painting a naked body. If you're really interested and want to pursue drawing figures, but you're afraid that people will think you're weird because you're drawing a naked person, or you're studying certain parts of the anatomy and trying to get better at drawing them, do not be afraid to be yourself. Scorpio energy is calling on you to truly be authentic, to let those parts of yourself out. Let yourself transform into who you truly are. You cannot grow as an artist if you're unafraid to be the artist you're meant to be. So take note of that during this Scorpio season and let it embolden you to go ahead and make those transformations. And that really leads into my fourth point, which is to speak fearlessly. I've never met a Scorpio who was afraid to talk about the tough stuff. My mom's a Scorpio, and I have actually found, a couple of friends who are Scorpios or have a Scorpio rising or a Scorpio moon, and they're not afraid to talk about this tough stuff. They're not afraid to discuss death. They're not afraid to talk about, again, the underbelly of life, so to speak. So I highly encourage you to do the same, both during Scorpio season and in general, right? Because this isn't just we move through these energies and then we forget about it. The wheel of astrology is representative of a whole and complete being and who holds all of the aspects. You may not necessarily have your sun, meaning your personality doesn't necessarily shine directly through that archetype, but we all have Scorpio energy somewhere in our chart. And so it's important for us as creatives to fully incorporate all aspects of ourselves and not leave anything out. So Scorpio is really going to encourage you to speak fearlessly, not be afraid to say your piece, your truth. This goes back through all of the things we just talked about, right? Declaring your boundaries, that's speaking fearlessly, embracing the dark stuff and the tough stuff, that's speaking fearlessly, being willing to shapeshift right before people's eyes and have them be like, what happened to you, and be fine with it. Like, this is the real me. This has been me all along. I've just been hiding. Let yourself speak and live fearlessly in your artistic expression, and you will have been embodying Scorpio energy perfectly. So yeah, tell me in the comments how you see yourself using Scorpionic energy in your creative practice. Or are you a Scorpio? Do you have Scorpio energy already in your astrological blueprint? Share below some of your tips as a Scorpio so we can learn from you as well. And if you liked this video, again, please like and subscribe so that you can get more videos like this, and share it with an astrologically minded creative friend who might enjoy it. And again, if you haven't gone over to follow on Instagram, it's at awaken.creators. My name is Amanda, and I would love to connect with you and meet with you and talk all things creative with you. This is my passion, my life's work. I have a ton of resources in the description box below. If you're ready to take your creative transformation even further, take a look. There's courses, free guides, all kinds of things to help you start your transformation towards your authentic creative truth. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Take care. Bye-bye.